In this video, we'll be discussing some problems and the remaining two tests for the determination of shear strength of soil. This is the first question. The following data relate to a triaxial compression test performed on soil sample. So, three samples are there. Chamber pressure, that is the cell pressure is given, maximum deviator stress is given, pore water pressure was also measured in this triaxial test. So pore water pressure at maximum deviator stress is also given. So this is sigma C, this is sigma D, and this is the pore water pressure U. You need to find out the total and effective stress parameters. We know that shear strength parameters are C and phi. So you need to find out C and phi based on the total stress as well as the effective stress. We know that the given values are total stress and pore water pressure is separately given. So we need to find out effective stress also, and then based on effective stress values also you need to find out C and phi. This similar problems were asked in university exams in June 2017, April 2018 and July 2017. Okay, now we'll see the solution. So these are the given data. Sigma C is given, sigma D is given. First we'll do the calculation for total stresses and then we'll do the calculation for effective stress. So here we have seen that sigma 1 is equal to sigma C plus sigma D. So just add these two, you'll be getting the major principal stress sigma 1, and how to get the minor principal stress sigma 3. Sigma 3 is equal to sigma C. So you got the value of sigma 1 and sigma 3. Now you can find out the center and radius of the Mohr circles to be drawn. So the center of the Mohr circles will be at these values. The equation is sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2. So based on these values, we need to calculate the center point of the Mohr circle, and the radius is given by sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2, and these are the radius of the Mohr circles to be drawn. Now this is a calculation for Mohr circles based on total stresses. Now we need to do the Mohr circle based on the effective stress also. So the calculation, we'll discuss the calculation for that. Here you need to consider the pore water pressure also. This is sigma C, this is sigma D, this is U value. These values are given in the question. Now just as in the previous case, sigma 1 is equal to sigma C plus sigma D, we have the values. Sigma 3 is equal to sigma 3, we have sigma 3 is equal to sigma C, we have the values. Now we know that effective stress is equal to total stress minus U. So based on this equation, we can find out sigma 1 bar and sigma 3 bar. Sigma 1 bar is sigma 1 minus U and sigma 3 bar is sigma 3 minus U. So based on this equation, you need to find out these values. Now the center of the Mohr circle will be sigma 1 bar plus sigma 3 bar by 2. The radius will be sigma 1 bar minus sigma 3 bar by 2. So these are the values. Based on these values, obtained values, you have to draw the Mohr circle. Okay, so I'll be using different notations for drawing Mohr circle. For total stresses, it will be using a solid line, and for effective stresses we'll be using dotted line. Okay, so this is the table for total stresses and this is the table for effective stresses. We got the values, and based on these values I have drawn the Mohr circle. These are the Mohr circle. As I told you, solid line is used for total stresses. So this is the Mohr circle for first sample. This is the Mohr circle for second sample, and this is the Mohr circle for third sample. Similarly, taking effective stresses, this is the Mohr circle for first sample. This is the Mohr circle for second sample. This is the Mohr circle for third sample. So based on these Mohr circle, we can draw a common tangent to these Mohr circles. The dotted lines are considered first, and this is the line corresponding to effective stress, and this is the line corresponding to the total stress. Now how to find out the C value and phi value? we will be getting the C value from this axis. You have to look at the point where this line meets the shear stress axis. So here, by measuring these values, you will be getting the C value. And how to find the phi value? You can just measure the angle between these inclined lines and horizontal. So if you look at the total stress envelope, the solid line, you can see that the solid line is meeting the shear stress axis at point 50. So C value will be 50. And if you measure this angle with the protractor, you will be getting phi value, and in this case phi value is obtained as 18 degrees. Similarly, you can measure for effective stress also. For effective stress, you have to consider this stress envelope, and this line is meeting the shear stress axis at point 60. So C dash is the cohesion based on effective stress parameter. So C dash is equal to 60, and with the protractor, if you measure the inclination of this dotted line with the horizontal, you will be getting the value as 20. So phi dash is equal to 20 degrees. This is how you solve the problem. And while in the university examinations, you have to use a graph for drawing these Mohr circles. And one point to be noted is that the scale taken for sigma axis and the toe axis should be same. Okay. Don't forget to take protractor, compass, etc. to the examination hall. So this is how you solve this type of problem. This is a very important type of problem. Now we'll move on to the next test for the determination of shear strength. It is known as unconfined compressive strength test. What do you mean by unconfined? See, in triaxial test, we have seen that the soil is surrounded by a rubber membrane and it is inserted in water. So it is confined. But in this case, the soil is not confined. A confinement around the soil is not given. We'll be making a cylindrical sample, and that sample is kept over here. Okay, there are two plates. This is a movable one and this is a fixed one. And in between these two plates, we'll be keeping the sample as such. No outer covering is given. It is unconfined. Okay, and here you have proving ring for measuring the forces, and you have dial gauge for measuring the displacement. Okay, this plate is movable. We'll be rotating this handle and we'll be providing axial stress. Okay, this is the setup. Now, if you just compare unconfined compressive strength with triaxial test, we can see that here we are not providing any sigma 3 value. Confinement is not given. That means sigma 3 value will be 0. So we can say that this is a special type of triaxial. We can just compare triaxial test with unconfined, and we can say that in this unconfined compression test, sigma 3 is equal to 0, and this can be applied, this can be used only for clay soils that can stand without any confinement. You know that some cohesion less soil like sand, it cannot stand without any confinement in a cylindrical shape. So this test can be conducted only for clay soils. Then here, as I told you, we can record the proving ring reading, and from the proving ring reading we can get the compressive force, and we have the dial gauge also. From dial gauge reading we can get the axial strain values. So this test is continued till the specimen fails or 20% axial strain occurs, and axial stress is obtained by the equation sigma 1 is equal to P by A. P is the compressive force and A is the cross-sectional area, corrected cross-sectional area. See, what happens is when the compressive load is applied, the soil sample bulges. So area is changing for each value. Okay, so we need to find out a corrected area, and cross-sectional corrected area is A0 by 1 minus epsilon. A0 is the initial cross-sectional area and epsilon is the strain value. Okay, so this corrected area should be used for finding axial stress. And the soil will fail, and we have to note the value of axial stress at failure, and that value is the unconfined compressive strength of the soil, QU. It is denoted by QU. Okay, Now, how to represent the result? The results can be represented using a Mohr circle, as we have seen that sigma 3 is equal to 0. So, you can start the circle from this point. Okay, and we'll be getting the sigma 1 value from the equation P by A, and you can draw the Mohr circle. As I told you, here the failure envelope will be horizontal like this. Okay, so this is your Cu value. Now from the geometry you can say that Cu is half of Qu. Am I right? This is Qu, and so Cu will be half of Q. So you have to remember this. Cu, the cohesive strength of the soil, is equal to unconfined compressive strength by 2. You have to remember this. Okay, so this is how you represent the result. Fine. Now, what are the merits and demerits of UCC test? It is very convenient, simple. It can be conducted very quickly, and it is suitable. It is very much suitable for conducting unconsolidated, undrained shear strength of intact saturated clays, and also the sensitivity of the soil can be determined. Okay. What are the demerits? This test cannot be conducted on fissured clays. In some soils there will be already fissures. So in that type of clay we cannot conduct UCC, and also we'll be getting will not be getting accurate results for soils in which the angle of shearing resistance is 0. That means if there is any frictional component, we won't be getting accurate results. If there is any sand content in the clay, then we will not be getting accurate results. So these are the merits and demerits of UCC. Now we'll do a problem. This problem was asked in December 2019 for the university exam. For unconfined compression test, an unconfined compression test was conducted on clay sample 150 mm diameter and 300 mm height. The failure load was 150 Newton and the axial deformation at the time of failure was 3 mm. Find the cohesive strength of the soil. So what are the given data? Failure load is given as 150 Newton. Axial deformation at the time of failure was 3 mm. So delta L is equal to 3 mm. Height of sample is given. Height of sample is taken as L. It is 300 mm, and diameter is also given 150 mm. Okay. We need to find the cohesive strength. We know that cohesive strength C is equal to unconfined compression test strength by 2. Cu is equal to Qu by 2. So we need to find out Qu first. Okay. Now for that we need to find out the corrected area. For corrected area we need strain. We know that strain is equal to change in length by original length. So change in length is deformation is 3 by 300 is 0.01, and initial area is denoted as A0. Diameter was given. So this is the initial area. Now corrected area, A is equal to A0 by 1 minus epsilon. So this is the corrected area. Now we know that axial stress is equal to the unconfined compression strength at failure. So here unconfined compression strength Qu is equal to P by A. P is the load at failure, A is the corrected area. So you will be getting this value as unconfined compressive strength. Now we know that cohesion strength of soil is equal to Qu by 2. So Cu is equal to Qu by 2. So this is the value for cohesive strength of soil. Okay, this is how you solve the problem. Now we'll move on to the next test for determining the shear strength of soil. It is known as vane shear test. The speciality of this test is that this can be conducted in laboratory as well as at field. Okay, we have different equipments, however, but the same test can be conducted in lab as well as in field. So it can be done in field, and this also can be done for clays only. In lab, what we do is, here you can see a steel container, right? In this container we will be taking clay, and you can see a vane also. Vane is nothing but blades which are connected together. So this vane is lowered into the specimen, into the soil, and here you can see a handle, and through this handle we will be rotating this vane. We will be applying torque, and torque is applied till the soil fails in shear, and we have indicators for strain and torque. From that we can get the value of torque T, and the shear strength of soil is obtained from this equation. That the derivation of the equation need not be studied. So the equation for shear strength of soil using vane shear apparatus is T by pi into d square h by 2 plus d cube by 6. Now here S is the shear strength in Newton per centimeter square. T is the torque applied in Newton centimeter. This T can be obtained from the machine itself. There is a torque indicator. From the machine itself we will be getting this T value. And D is the diameter of the vane. See, here you have the vane, right? The diameter of the vane is D, and H is the height of the vane. Okay. So we can easily get these values and we can find out the shear strength of soil. Okay. Yeah, in field also, see, this is the vane. Can you see the vane? It is, you can see 4 blades, and if you just measure the diameter, you will be getting D, and if you measure the height, you will be getting H. Okay, and this is the setup for doing vane shear test in field. This is the soil surface, ground surface, and this vane is inserted into the soil, and this is rotated. Okay. Now, what are the merits and demerits of vane shear test? This is a very simple and quick test, and it is suited for in situ undrained shear strength for the determination shear strength determination of non-fissured saturated clay, and this test can also be used for finding the sensitivity of the soil. One important point to be remembered is that this can be done in field also. Okay. Now, what are the demerits of vane shear test? It cannot be conducted on clay containing sand or silt laminations. In some soils, there will be sand content and silt content along with clay. So, in that type of soil, you cannot use vane shear strength. It should be clay. Okay, and also the test will not give accurate result when the failure envelope is not horizontal. So, these are the merits and demerits of vane shear test. Will do a sample problem also. A vane 10 cm dia long, 7.2 cm, a vane 10.8 cm long and 7.2 cm in diameter was pressed into a soft clay at the bottom of a bore hole. Torque was applied and value at the failure was 45 Newton meter. Find the shear strength of the clay on a horizontal plane. So we know that the height is given, height of the vane is given 10.8 centimeter, diameter of the vane is given 7.2 centimeter, the torque at failure is also given 45 Newton meter. This is given in meters, so we will convert that into centimeters. So it is 4500 Newton centimeter. So these are the given data. We know the equation. Just substitute this data in the equation. Okay, you will be getting the answer as 4.18 Newton per centimeter square, and in kilonewton per meter square it is 41.87. Okay, so this is how you do the problems. So with that we have completed module 4. Thank you.